Welcome to School Talk. Today we're going to begin with a group of folks who work with our material handling in our Career Center. We're going to continue our series on students who have graduated from our school district and now are in professions. And then finally, we will talk about some of our student achievement data and our goals for this next school year. But again, we're going to begin with our material handling. Thank you all for joining us. If you would take just a moment to introduce yourselves and tell us what role you play in the material handling class at the ATC. And Daniel, we'll begin with you.
Absolutely, thank you. My name is Daniel Stanton. I'm the Vice President of Education and Workforce Development with MHI. MHI is a nonprofit trade association for the U.S. supply chain industry, and we're headquartered just up the road in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Angie?
Hi, my name is Angela Jenkins, and I work for MHI as well. I am the Career and Technical Education Coordinator for the organization.
Thank you for being here. Mr. Gilman?
I'm Don Gilman. I'm the Director of the Applied Technology Center.
Dave Finley?
Dave Finley. I'm the instructor here at the Applied Technology Center in Logistics and Distribution.
Well, thank you all for being with me. And Mr. Stanton, I'm going to begin with you first. We hear about the supply chain. Can you share for our viewers what is that supply chain and why is it important for us to be focusing on that with our students?
Absolutely. You know, it's a great question, and the term supply chain is actually pretty new. It's only about 35 years old. But if you look at companies today, the way they operate, about 70 to 80% of all the money that they spend is focused on things related to the supply chain. So that's, you know, what are the products they're making and how are they making that, or how are they selling things and where are the operations that they're doing that? What are they buying and who are they buying it from so that they can create that value, create those products and services? And then, of course, how are they delivering those products and services out to their customers? So the supply chain is an incredibly important part of all businesses today, and it's really a field that's evolving quickly because of technology and becoming very, very global as our markets expand and the world gets smaller.
And I think one good example of that is Amazon. And what folks are being able to do just by going to Amazon and purchasing items and it getting shipped to them either by carrier or even, I think, by drones in some situations.
Absolutely. Amazon is a member of MHI, and they're a great example of a company that is built on supply chain and logistics. And it's all about how do you get the products to the people who want them as quickly, as efficiently, as cheaply as you can.
And this question could be for any of you, but obviously there are parents who might have a concern about their child entering into this field. We have lots of parents who really believe their child needs to go to a four-year college to get a degree. We've heard recent information that many students who do that have to go back to a technical college to get a skill to be ready for the workforce. What would you say to parents who might have a concern about their child wanting to go into a materials handling kind of career?
I'd take a stab at that, and I'd say, you know, the place to start is to understand the range of career opportunities and the range of responsibilities that span across all of those functions that we just talked about. So there are certainly lots of jobs out there for people to receive material into facility, manage that inventory, do manufacturing, assembling, packaging, shipping. But there are also lots of jobs for the people that install, operate, maintain the equipment in those facilities, which is very much a skilled sort of a technician role. And then there are the jobs for managers and engineers who design the equipment, who design the systems, who manage those systems. So within the supply chain and across the supply chain, there are a huge number of career opportunities, but I would say that all of them build on a similar fundamental base. And so coming in early begins to open up all of those career options for people as they move through their lives.
Mr. Finley?
Getting the word out and changing that perception that's out there. When people drive down the interstate and they see this big building, they don't know what's going on inside there. And there's this perception that they're just moving boxes. There's so much more to that, to the career supply chain now, and working in logistics. There are white collar, blue collar. The people that run these facilities, those are gold collar jobs, and we need a lot of skilled people in these facilities. But I want parents to know that this is a viable, lucrative career path for their child. And the industry is now excited about marketing to women. Angela might be able to touch on that.
I think one of the things that we don't have an opportunity to know is statistically, we look at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and what they've reported just this month is that they've increased in jobs within transportation and warehousing, and it has increased by an additional 142,000 jobs just for the month of October. And when we look at the opportunities that come about with that, we have the technology is changing. AARP has reported that the baby boomers are retiring at 8,000 per day. Now that's good for the baby boomers, but not for industry, because we don't have that skill set to actually replenish that retiring person. So the talent that's needed, we need people and talent to operate, maintain, upgrade, and install these processes and equipment. And how do we get this talent? It's by understanding that the opportunities are out there, taking a look at the statistics and saying that, wow, this is a sexy career opportunity, as opposed to, in the past, it may have been looked at as a dirty job.
Mr. Finley, last month we had the opportunity to bring our Board of Trustees and open it to the community for them to come and see the Career Center. And one of the places that we went to was the warehouse, where we understand that you are doing some of the job that you do with kids. Can you share with us exactly what we saw that day?
Well, that day I had two students that they're working right now as interns, and a paid internship right now for those students. So when you walked in there, there's two students that are actually helping run the facility. They are working above entry level. They're not just learning about forklift, they're working with the inventory. They're managing inventory, receiving, put away, and shipping. So the opportunity in that facility over there for those students is to leave with a skill set much higher than somebody walking in off the street to West Marine or to Excel with no experience.
And I was just going to tack on to that, and those are skills and those are jobs that exist literally for every company anywhere in the world that makes stuff, or any company anywhere in the world that sells stuff.
Well,
because they all have material flowing through their supply chain.
I tell my students everything they're doing in this program, that skill set is transferable to the workplace, everything they do.
Tell us a little bit about, you are working with a company with books that your students package and get ready. Can you share with us a little bit about what students are doing in that class?
First Book is a nonprofit out of Washington, D.C., and they don't have a warehouse. We have a warehouse. And what happens, the publishers, they send us all of the books. The students create an inventory, and then we post that online. The books are sold, and we do all of the UPS labeling, then we load the trailers, and they ship out. So the student gets to receive, they get to put away, they get to inventory, then they get to place labels, and they get to ship. So there's all of the fundamentals, in warehousing and distribution right there in that with one program. And we're very pleased with our partnership with First Book.
That is great.
And it's free to the district. We have a full operational 3PL in a high school program, and we're very proud of that.
Mr. Gilman, when we came that day, we actually had a visitor. So this has been looked at not only in the state of South Carolina, but all across the United States. Can you share a little bit about who was here and what was that superintendent actually looking at that day?
Sure. Let me take us back a little bit to the inception of this program. 2008, 2009, a gentleman by the name of Alan Howey, and it's the late Alan Howey. He just passed away recently, and Alan is a Rock Hill resident. He came to us and he said there's, in the material handling industry, there's an aging out of workers, and we're looking to create a pipeline for this industry because we know there's going to be an incredible number of opportunities for employment at all levels in the future. Is Rock Hill interested in maybe being the first industry-supported program in the country? After a couple of years of getting everything together, we actually began the program in 2008-2009 school year. We had a lot of support from industry. We created 2 warehouses, one a simulation warehouse, the other the actual warehouse. We created a 4-course program of studies. And since then, since doing that, we've had visitors from Pennsylvania, Georgia, Virginia, Ohio, Nebraska, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, and the one you're talking about, California. The most recent one was from Patterson, California. He's a superintendent of Patterson Schools in Patterson, California, and came out to look at what we're doing and how we established this program. This program is going very well as a result of Mr. Finley getting it started. What I would like to say to parents is start looking at those 4 years of high school for your students, for your children. If it's grandparents, for your grandchildren, aunts, uncles, for your nephews and nieces, and start thinking of that high school experience as a time where that child is thinking in terms of finding a career path. The students who are in this program and any other program at ATC, our entire focus is about them getting on a career path and finding out during high school what that career piece will be and what college it might require to get that eventual career. And that may be 2 years, it may be 4 years, it may be an 18-month certification program. We actually have students in our material handling program who went straight from high school, and one person I'm thinking of is a female student from last year, started the day after she graduated, has had 3 promotions since.
Wow.
And this was with Excel, one of our partners in Rock Hill. So we're getting a lot of attention. We're doing some things right. I spoke with Mandy Wolf, our work-based learning coordinator, just this morning, and she got a phone call from a manufacturing firm in North Carolina asking us, what are we doing right down here? Because they're just hearing a lot of things about the students coming out of our programs being what we call work ready. So,
well, thank you very much. I want to thank each of you for being with us today, for sharing this information, and for what you do most importantly for the students in our school district. So thank you very much. When we return, we will be talking with Leah Moody, a graduate from 1988 in Rock Hill Schools. We'll be back in just a few moments.
Thank you, Dr. Pugh. Welcome back to School Talk. I'm joined today for our segment, My Rock Hill School District Story. I'm joined today by Leah Moody, a local attorney and graduate from Northwestern High School. Welcome, Leah, to the show.
Thank you.
So if you could tell us a little bit about Northwestern when you were there, when you graduated, and what you're doing now.
Well, Northwestern was like the best high school for me. My sister and I attended Northwestern. My father used to coach at Northwestern, and so a lot of family friends were at the school. At that time, it was Principal Earl Lovelace, and I think Barbara Boware was our assistant principal, and I can't recall who the other assistant was, but I enjoyed my time there generally.
So since Northwestern, you've gone on to college and graduate school and received a doctorate, not a doctorate, excuse me, you've received your law degree from USC and are now practicing here in Rock Hill. What type of law do you practice, and then perhaps something that tipped you off as a high school student to a career in law?
Well, practice area-wise, I do a lot of things, but what I mainly focus on is municipal government work, and I'm handling procurement work, which is a new area for me. So I've had contracts dealing with the governments, local governments around the state of South Carolina, and I used to work for the governor of the state of South Carolina, so that just fed right into enlarging my municipal practice. I do handle criminal law as well, probate and workers' comp. And then there are some other areas that I've handled just because maybe a family friend or someone I've known for a long time really needs some help. What got me to law school was my 11th grade year. I think I probably would have been a dentist had I not gone to Girl State and had that experience. And after attending Girl State in the 11th grade and serving as a counselor in the 12th grade, I decided I wanted to be a lawyer. It's ironic, my counselor at Girl State was our now state superintendent of education, Molly Spearman. So it's been an interesting experience being a lawyer, and that started it.
And so knowing Molly personally myself, knowing that her experience and passion for Girl State is off the charts, and you having had that experience, you also, in addition to your professional work life, you serve as a trustee at the University of South Carolina, who also sits on that board with you as Molly Spearman. So talk about your work with the Board of Trustees at USC.
So at the university, we participate in a lot of meetings. There's approximately 21 board members, and I am the representative for the 16th Circuit. So there's 16 elected trustees, and we deal with issues such as the fiscal management of the school. We have a student trustee board committee. We have, I'm trying to blank here, we have buildings and grounds, athletics, we have academics. And so we all participate in the policy set for the university, and it's been a wonderful experience.
And so through the experience, just professionally, personally involved with higher ed, thinking about our students today and the workforce that we're hoping to prepare them for, whether they're going directly from high school into the workforce or onto college, what are some skill sets that you would look for or hope to see in today's students as they matriculate through the system?
Well, I think the biggest thing is being able to communicate in writing. You find that a lot of students do not have the ability to communicate their thoughts in writing, as well as being social, whereas they can network with individuals so that they can communicate, possibly land jobs, internships. And I'd say the biggest thing that I tell people that ask what should they focus on is, being a go-getter, putting yourself out there and taking the initiative. Oftentimes you see students who want to experience certain things in the higher ed arena. However, they're too afraid to ask. So sometimes it's just simply asking someone to allow you to be their mentee and expose you to some of the, the various benefits of the university.
Sure. Well, and one thing that Molly, Ms. Spearman, talks about is the soft skill development. So I think that plays in perfectly to what you just mentioned. And Leah, I want to thank you for being here today. We're now going to go back to the studio and be joined, I'll join Dr. Pugh, and we'll analyze several sets of data and review some of her goals for the coming school year. So Dr. Pugh, let's look at our data. Welcome back to School Talk. Thank you, Leah Moody, for joining us earlier on School Talk. We will now be joined by Dr. Pugh. Welcome back to the set.
Thank you.
We're going to begin today a part of a series we'll do for several months. We'll be analyzing data that you initially presented at our October school board meeting. So if you could first just tell us a little bit about the MAP test, what that test is, and how it helps our teachers improve what they're doing for our students.
Well, Michael, our MAP test stands for Measures of Academic Progress, and we give that assessment actually in grades K through 8. And it helps, most importantly, our teachers look at the progress of our students. Where are they in math and in ELA, so that they can then look at their instruction and guide their instruction based on their students' strengths and then areas that they know they need to spend more time.
And so the test is administered at the beginning and as well at the end of the year. So we actually see a measure during the course of a given year. So talk about, from a teacher's perspective, perhaps how that really helps guide their instruction with their kids.
Well, we look at the test, as you mentioned, is given in the spring. And so our teachers, when they go into the school year, in the fall, they're able to go back and look at that student's performance on that spring map assessment, so they can see where they were in the spring of the prior year. But then we do give it in the fall, and our teachers and administrators then take that information and they see where students need some assistance, and then they are able to guide that instruction for the remainder of the school year. It allows them, if they need to group students based on particular areas that they need help in math, and then they can differentiate, and students maybe who have mastered that content can move on and do something else. In some of our schools, we actually have teachers who work with different students than maybe those that are in their homeroom or their typical class, so that we are better able to base our instruction on where our students actually are.
Great, great. So let's take a look at the data from last year. Well, first, let's take a look at your goal for this current school year and how it relates to last year's data and where we hope to go in the coming year.
Well, my goal for last year was that in both math and reading, that we are at 33% of students in the low, the average, and the high. And the reason for that is this is a normally distributed measure. And so, if you have a regular group of students, then in that norm distribution, 33% of your students would normally fall into that low, 33% in the medium, and 33% in the high. So that's what our goal is. Obviously, we would rather have fewer students in our low category and moving them to that average and high, right. But your goal always is to be in that normal distribution.
Right, so looking at reading, as indicated by the green bar on the screen, we show that we've met that goal, met last year's goal for that particular criteria. So tell us a little bit about what we're looking at and the type of gain that was made in this area here.
Well, and of course we did code for our board, for our presentation that we did with them in October. Green meaning that we met a goal, yellow meaning that we made progress towards a goal but we didn't meet the goal, and red if we actually went backwards. So you'll see here we're very proud that in reading, we have green all the way across the board, which means that we met our goal. Now, you'll see that our goal was 33% in low, and we were at 32.99. We want that to be low.
Right.
We would love
Just
for that
like
to be, right, absolutely. And so then we're above in the average, and that's okay. We have that as a green because we had kids that moved to that average, and then high at 33%. You will see that our goal for 2016, again, is in that 33, 33, 33.
So then we'll take a look at math, and we'll notice it's in yellow. So it's not necessarily a negative, but it also shows that while we are making improvements, there's still work to be done. So just walk us through this for a moment.
That is right. Again, math, our goal was 33% in each of the categories. You will see that we did not meet that goal in the low. We have more than 33%. It is yellow because in the prior year, it would have been higher than 36% in the low. So we are making progress. We're really almost there with the average at being 33.64, but in the high, we're too low. We have 30% of our kids in the high category, and we want to have at a minimum 33%. So making progress, but we did not meet that goal of 33% in those various categories.
Great. So we are able to identify where we need to focus attention for this year and years to come.
That is
this
correct.
Is great test and great data that we have available to us. Thank you for that. Another assessment we're going to talk about today is the Fontes and Pinnell test that's administered at our elementary schools. And if you could talk to us a little bit about what Fontes and Pinnell is, and again, like we did for MAP, how this data helps guide instruction.
Well, this is a really important piece of data at the elementary level. It is an assessment that is given by our teachers where they are listening to, observing students reading. And it gives them lots of information about, as they are using guided reading, what reading group a student needs to be in, what is the appropriate level of text for a student to be reading fiction and nonfiction. We want to challenge our students in their reading, but we want to make sure that we have them at a level that they can be successful. If we have a new student that comes into our school district and we don't know what level they were on, our teachers would give the F&P assessment. It's also a great tool that our teachers use in the next year. So when a student leaves a grade level at the elementary school, we have given the F&P assessment, and that teacher in the next school year can see where students are and can begin the school year making sure that kids are in that appropriate guided reading. It also lets us know if we have students that need more intense support, we're able to do that.
Sure. And again, let's look at your goal statement for it's actually set out for 2019, but just kind of let us know your goal here, and then we'll look at the data again.
Well, one of the most important things that we teach our children is how to read. If our kids don't know how to read, then they're going to struggle in anything else that they try to do moving forward. Our state actually has a law that all of our kids need to be able to read by the end of third grade. So we felt like that we had to have at least 95% by 2019 that are on grade level for reading.
And so we look at where we are currently, and the goal this year is to get to 87%. So we definitely demonstrate an 8 percentage point, or just a little more than 8 percentage point gain in the year past. We're looking to go to 87 this year on our way to that goal of 95.
That's right, and that's why that's yellow instead of green. We did make great progress. You can see that being 75.68 and trying to get to 95%, we've got some work to do.
Sure.
We have excellent teachers in our classrooms that are doing wonderful things with students with reading, so we believe that we can get to that 95%.
Great, and we'll take a quick look at the distribution of scores by grade level, just so we can see where we may be focusing work more specifically, and take a look here at kindergarten through fourth grade.
And again, this is a district view. Our principals have their school view, and then individual teachers are able to look at their individual data to drive instruction.
And if you could just talk a little bit about the plan for the coming months with School Talk and how we're going to be talking about your additional areas that we'll be looking to improve on not only this year but in the next several years.
Well, obviously we have lots of performance data that we want to share with our community, with our stakeholders. At the elementary level, we want to share our ACT Aspire, which was a new assessment in math and ELA, our PASS, Science and Social Studies, the same thing at our middle school. And in high school, for the first time, we gave the ACT and we gave work keys. So we want to share that. Also in middle and high school, we gave the end of course assessment in Algebra 1, English 1, Science, and Social Studies. So we'd like to share that over the next few months.
Great.
And thank you for joining us today on School Talk. We hope that the information that we've provided has been beneficial to you. So thank you for joining us.